really don't want to know what's in this food. I know that Space Marines just need calories enough to just straight up kill a mortal. But because of that, mortal thralls and serfs on fortress monasteries often need to resort to corpse starch. But I'll admit, I've been to Beijing, I've definitely eaten worse.
Oh, no worries. We often took vegetables, fruits, and edible animals when invading worlds or taking tithes. The salamanders care about mortal lives, while the white scars are about individual freedoms, and the space wolves are just, they like to cook.
Oh, okay, that removes some of the concerns. Although I know how space wolves really like cooking and drinking, so I imagine they'll really push for good food. Of course, I don't know how good the serfs' cooks are. They might just be like my mama and can't cook for shit.
I genuinely can't remember what my mother's cooking was like. I'm pretty sure she was a breeding slave, and I was immediately thrown into chaos development.
I'm not comfortable talking about that subject. Wait, weren't you in the last Warhammer Wednesday video?
Huh. Yeah, normally you rotate us out. Shouldn't it be Trazen's turn, I think?
Either that or have all of you in this one, but either way, I don't think I'm going to talk about how Chaos Space Marines get adepts. Most are just picked up like the boys in Space King.
Oh, I love that show. We rarely got reruns in the war, but after joining the Black Shield, I managed to watch the entire original series and the remake from the 5th millennium.
How long did the original series go on?
Not long enough, I'll tell you that.
That's fair. Of course, the best things almost never last long enough. Of course, I should probably get on with this video, really.
Does it have something to do with food, or are you going to flip the script like you did last week?
Nah, this is actually about food. Specifically, Agri Worlds. According to Imperial propaganda, Agri Worlds are nearly like Paradise Worlds, with green fields of different crops, with relaxing pre-industrial farming tactics, simple labors to working the field, no stress of a major hive world. Of course, if you know anything about the Imperium, none of the previous statements are actually true. The entirety of each Agri World is run by criminals that aren't worth putting to death. Each farmer is just above being turned into a servitor. Some will be digging, some plowing, some will be just planting, some will be carrying water buckets over massive fields, some will be reaping what is sown, day in, day out. Only minimal amounts of rest and food is allowed to them. Of course, how is the world itself? Nothing but farmland, so it has to be pretty clean, right? Well, despite it making no sense, no. These planets are as polluted as hive worlds, despite the fact that they have rivers running through them, usually made to run in a machine-like system, similar to your own farms in Minecraft. Agri Worlds are prison planets, run by prisoners with slightly more respect, forced to keep the planet running. Each continent is usually devoted to a specific crop, apples on one, wheat on the next, and such, on 100% of land space of this world. The worlds themselves are often reshaped in order to make farming even more efficient, with no space for anything not edible. Of course, the Imperium has to get their tomatoes off the world, right? So, one continent is definitely built with off-world transport in mind, and what makes the world deadly is just that. Warp drives. They're run off extremely radioactive fuel systems And when refueling those in the immediate area of the refueling, they're guaranteed to die, quickly and painfully, as their bodies are burned, mutated, and melted in a very short amount of time. Usually, dozens of teams are necessary to refuel one ship. And this is why the worlds are usually absolutely barely survivable. The ships have to be leaving and entering the world constantly and burning a lot of toxins into the atmosphere extremely quickly. This leads to the cloud cover of the world leaving only partial light, enough to give the plant life the ability to photosynthesize. But the radioactive fuel burning also leads to another side effect: hypergrowth and deadly water. So, the negatives of these worlds can assist the positives, but the world's atmosphere does not have enough breathable air for the prisoners on the planet. The rain runs a risk of burning the flesh of the people and the plant matter of the crops. The waters running across the world, like an irrigation system, if drank, will poison you. And you know what the worst part about this whole thing? If one of these worlds dies, multiple systems will fall as a result. Each planet within the Imperium of Mankind is classified, designed, and purposed to keep the machine running. And this machine can only barely keep itself together, like how the Golden Throne can only barely keep the Emperor from dying. So, every time a Tyranid hive fleet starts moving towards massive masses of biomass, the Imperium panics. One world can cost multiple millions of worlds. Not just lives, worlds. The fact that the importance of these worlds are not brought up more often is rather surprising. We've seen Forge Worlds from Space Marine 1 and 2. We've seen Hive Cities in Wrath and Glory and Necromunda. We've seen Cemetery Worlds in Space Marine 2. In the grand scheme of things, Cemetery Worlds are just for morale purposes. That's it. So, come on, Black Library or Saber Interactive, if you need an idea for a story in your future books or future games, can I recommend putting in a bit about Agri Worlds? Show how miserable they can be? Of course, those Necron piles in Space Marine 2 bring up a really awkward question in the setting. If a Space Marine can figure out how to use Necron tech to fight the warp, not even a tech marine, just some random ass intercessors, why can't the entire Imperium use them to shrink the Great Rift? Trazen tried that, right? But that's another subject for another video. Maybe I should talk about major plot holes in 40k. The game is 40 years old this year, and 11th edition is about to come out with no celebration. Weird.
I still don't like Dimitri and Titus. I worked with him for a very short while, like 2 days maybe, no less. By the throne, what a pretentious prick.
I mean, look, he's probably the only good Ultramarine I've seen that they haven't killed off screen, but Ultramarines seem to be getting a lot of shit in this early edition. The group that is accompanying him apparently is something like 90 points cost with 20 wounds across all 6 models. At least 2 of them are mortal women. But that's another subject entirely, really. I need to get back to illustration, so shove off.